Hello, welcome to our CPAD technical capsule. Today we're going to review the DRV3 unit. We will look at the unit's features and we will go through the configuration process. The DRV3 portable leakage receiver is a dual-band, dual-function meter that detects leakage events during vehicle drive-outs. The technicians can take the DRV3 unit out of the vehicle cradle to use it as a find and fix unit to precisely locate the leakage event. Let's start with the physical overview of the unit. There is a rubber mold to protect the unit from drops. The DRV3 meter weighs 850 grams. The LED on the top right corner will indicate if the unit is in use, charging, or fully charged. The LED will be green when the unit is in use. It will be orange when the unit is charging, and it will turn to green when the unit is fully charged. There are two connectors on the top of the unit for the rubber duck antennas. The left-hand antenna has an SMA connector for the LTE band, and the B and C connector on the right-hand side for the mid-band monitor. The buttons on the unit consist of navigation arrows, left, right, up, down, on and off button, enter or snapshot button, escape or volume button, and the power pin connector at the bottom of the unit. The cradle will allow for a quick way to connect and disconnect the unit without having to unplug any cables. The mating connector on the back of the cradle will provide power and data to the DRV3. The DRV3 unit comes with rubber duck antennas that will be used for the find and fix portion when tracking down leaks, and monopole antennas when the unit is used in patrol mode. Those monopole antennas will connect to the cradle. To access the unit's menu, we will press the right arrow. The first setting we'll be looking at will be the antennas. To access it, we'll press right arrow again. We need to set the antenna that will be used on the unit. So we have the roof antenna and the DRV antenna for both bands, the aeronautical band and the LTE band. The roof antenna represents the antennas mounted on the vehicle. So we'll do right to enter the selection of the antennas. And we'll select monopole, which is the antenna used on the roof or the unit. Then proceed to press enter. Aeronautical roof antenna is now set to monopole. We'll now set the DRV3 aeronautical antenna. In this case, we're using a rubber duck antenna. Press enter. We'll repeat this process now for the LTE antenna, for the vehicle, using a monopole. And for the DRV3 LTE band, we'll be using a rubber duck antenna. Press enter. Escape will bring us to the menu display. Escape again will bring us to the main display of the DRV3 unit. The spectrum mode is used for on-site diagnostics. In this mode, the DRV3 works as a simplified spectrum analyzer. To activate this feature, go to the menu page by pressing the right arrow, selecting the spectrum mode, right arrow to get into the menu. Down arrow will bring us to the aeronautical band. We can select LTE band or shut off the spectrum mode. In this particular case, let's do the test with the aeronautical. Press enter. Escape, and as you can see now, when activated, the spectrum view will provide the selected detection frequency as the center frequency, in this case 132, with a span view of plus minus 19 kilohertz. Moving the arrow left will decrease the center frequency by 1 kilohertz. If we do right, we'll increase it by 1 kilohertz. If we move the arrow up, it will increase the value by 10 kilohertz. And if we go down, it will decrease it by 10 kilohertz. When a leak is detected, the modulation of the leak will be displayed on the screen of the DRV3 as we see here. And assuming that the leak breaks the squelch, the unit will generate an audible tone, or a beep. We will do the same exercise by changing the band on the spectrum view. Now we'll focus on the LTE. You see here the leak being detected and the modulation of that event being displayed on the DRV3 display As you can hear, the unit is creating an audible tone as that event being measured at 56 dB microvolts per meter break and squelch. The proximity factor is a correction factor applied between the DRV3 and the leakage source. By selecting the distance, the DRV3 calculates appropriate gain to apply to the reading. This reading is displayed in the top center part of the display. By default, the unit will be set to 10 feet 3 meters. To access the menu, press right arrow, go to proximity, right arrow again, and you can toggle between 10 feet 3 meters, 30 feet 10 meters, 80 feet 25 meters. Press enter to save your selection, escape to go back to the main display. You will see your selector again at the top center part of the LCD display of the unit. The band setting is used to select which band the user would like to monitor. By default, the unit is set up for both bands, midband and LTE. The DRV3 screen is split when measurement mode. As you can see here, you have the LTE band and the aeronautical band. If a specific band is selected, then the screen will only display the selected band in the measured mode. By doing so, by using only one of the two bands, using only one band will reduce power consumption by 30 to 40%. The user can toggle between a dual display to a single one by going to the menu, press the right arrow, going to bands. You have aero and LTE by default. So if we select aeronautical, press enter, escape to go back to the main menu. Now you see only the mid band or aeronautical band is selected. If we go back to menu, now we're switching to LTE only, enter, escape. Now it's only the LTE being monitored. Go back, now we're going to put both bands. Enter. Now we have that dual split screen. The sound setting will allow the user to set up the volume level as well as the squelch. The volume can be set to low, medium, high, and can be turned off by using the mute option on the main menu. Have the speaker here. The squelch feature allows the user to determine at what level the DRV3 unit will generate an audible tone when a leak is detected. The default squelch value is 20 microvolts per meter. We can edit that information by going to the menu again, right arrow, we'll go to sound, right arrow again. So we have the default value that we want, the volume to be at. It could be muted, high, medium, low. We'll leave it at low, enter. And the squelch by default is set to 20 microvolts, but we can edit it and put it to, let's say, 50. By editing this value, this means that the unit will only start generating an audible tone once it reaches that value or higher. Escape, go back to the main menu. The DRV3 can display leakage levels in two different measurement units, microvolts per meter or dB microvolts per meter. The most common unit used to measure signal leaks is microvolts per meter. To edit the unit's detection frequencies, go to the menu by pressing the right arrow. Frequency, right arrow again, and we'll have both bands, the aeronautical band and the LTE band. We will edit the aeronautical band frequency by entering by pressing the right arrow. By default, there are 3 preset frequencies that can be changed, and the frequency of detection will be marked by an asterisk to the left of the frequency. You can edit the frequency by pressing the right arrow and then entering the value you want to use. To save it, simply press enter, escape. We will then edit the LTE frequency value. Again, 3 preset frequencies. The selected frequency is marked by an asterisk. Save the LTE frequency selected, press enter, escape, escape again, and the third type escape to go back to the main LCD display. The frequencies will be displayed at the bottom and they go through a toggling. So you'll see a snapshot, a camera view, the modulation of detection, and then the frequency that will be displayed at the bottom. In patrol mode, when the DRV3 is used in conjunction with an ARD4, the ARD4 will dictate the unit, to this unit, what the detection frequencies are. The tag arrow or midband setting tells the DRV3 the type of modulation to look for when looking for a leak. We'll enter the menu by pressing the right arrow, tag arrow, right arrow. These are the different types of modulation. We have the CW, carrier wave, A modulation, amplitude modulation, the DSBC value, which is a double side band suppressed carrier modulation, or a video carrier. The selected modulation will be marked by an asterisk next to it. The DRV3 type detection setting needs to match the setting used by the signal generator at the head end. Following the aeronautical tag settings, the LTE tag setting has to be configured as well. The available modulations for the LTE settings will be CW carrier wave, AM amplitude modulation, DS for DSBSC double sideband suppressed carrier modulation. The selected modulation will be marked by an asterisk. Once you select, press enter and escape to come back to the main menu. The pressure test mode uses high RF level carriers to detect cable shielding integrity issues for house installations. In pressure test, a DRV3 should be used with a DSG1 light that will inject high energy carriers into the local cable TV network. While in pressure test, the user's selected detection frequencies are ignored. To turn on the pressure test, we'll go to the menu, pressure test, we'll activate it, press enter, we'll escape. The display will be blacked out, and the DRV3 will automatically be tuned to 126 MHz for the mid-band and 612 MHz for the LTE band. These are the two frequencies that are injected by the DSG1 light. Leakage measurement in digital networks have to be referenced to the power level of the QAMs in the bands of interest, mid-band or LTE. The DSG1 carrier is generally injected at levels usually lower than the QAMs. Because of this, the DRV3 has to compensate the readings measured. This is done through the CW QAM parameter. The CW QAM parameter represents the difference between the QAM and the DSG1 carrier level in dB. The value of this setting can be negative if the carrier is lower than the QAM, or positive if the carrier injected is higher than the QAM. The value 0 will be applied if the value of the carriers will equal the QAM signals. To change that, we'll go into the menu, CW QAM, right arrow. We have the aeronautical and the LTE. To edit, we'll change that, and we'll enter the value here. As an example, if a signal injected is 20 dB below the QAMs in the aeronautical band, what we will enter here will be -18. Press enter to save the value, and we'll repeat that for the LTE. In this particular example, let's say we were 18 dB below the QAM in the LTE band as well. We'll set it to -18. Press enter, escape, escape. Now all readings made by the DRV3 unit will have that compensation to match the difference between the carrier and the QAM levels at the head end. Backlight parameter allows the user to determine if the backlight in the display is always on, always off, or if it turns on after a certain period of time without keypad activity. To edit the backlight parameter, to edit the backlight setting, we'll press the right arrow to enter the menu, select backlight, right arrow to toggle to the different values. So we can set it to on, auto 10 seconds, meaning the display will remain on for 10 seconds and there's no keypad activity, it will shut off. Auto 30 seconds, auto 60 seconds, or it can always be off. To enter the selected value, press enter, escape to go back to the main LCD display. This parameter sets the screen contrast on the display of the DRV3. The contrast can be set from 0, least contrast, to 9, highest contrast. To edit this value, go to the menu, right arrow, select contrast, right arrow, and we can modify the contrast of the unit from least to most. To keep the selection, press enter, escape to go back to the main screen or display. Temperature menu provides a view-only access to the DRV3 internal temperature. The temperature is displayed in Celsius and Fahrenheit. You can view that information pressing right arrow, going to temperature. You see to the right hand side the internal temperature displayed in Celsius and Fahrenheit. 40 degrees Celsius in this particular case, 104 degrees Fahrenheit. While undocked and unplugged, the DRV3 can enter a low consumption state to preserve battery life, which is the standby mode. The delay of the standby can be set to 1 minute, 5 minutes, or it can be completely disabled. To edit that parameter, press the right arrow to go into the menu, standby. We can set it to disable, 1 minute, 5 minutes, or disable entirely. Press enter to select the value, escape to go back to the main menu. This menu provides a view-only access to the DRV3 software versions. To access it, we can press right arrow to go into the menus, go down to the versions, right arrow, and you have the MCU, FPGA, and the bootloader versions that are currently installed in your DRV3 unit. Escape to go back to the main menu. This menu provides a view-only access to the DRV3 serial number. You can access by pressing the right arrow. You have the device ID, the serial number of the unit. This information can also be found on the back of the unit